Welcome to the Dr. Jim Cares podcast with Dr. James Augustine, where we provide powerful solutions for helping you create wellness. The following discussion is for educational purposes only and is not meant to diagnose or treat disease. Because our approach is individualized, it's important to not apply this information without first consulting with your healthcare professional. And now, here's Dr. Jim.
Hey, welcome back to the Dr. Jim Cares podcast. My name is Dr. Augustine from Head to Wellness, and today we're going to be talking about what people really need to know to get absolutely true healing results. And a little bit of context with this. Had some patients recently. One of them actually saw a video of mine, and I want to go over what I talked about with this particular patient and a few others, in the sense that how are people really going to heal from chronic disease? Truly get the results that they're after, meaning that their body actually restores health and they've been healed from some particular massive, terrible problem. My classic patient is cancer, autoimmune disease, chronic illness. We love to see those patients because I love to be the detective to try to figure out what's causing the problem. If you work at that causal level, then you're never ever ending up needing to treat disease. So let's talk about this. Let me tell you what you need to know, because you may be in that boat where you actually need to heal from something and you're not really getting the results that you're after. So let's talk about these items. So major barriers to healing, the reasons that people can't heal, is number one, what actually heals your body? What actually truly heals your body? What that is not doctors, it's not drugs, it's not vitamins, it's not food, it's not exercise, it's not sleep. It actually, truly, the real doctor for you is you. And it's all driven by a special side of your brain called the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. Sounds like the word automatic, which it is. This side of your nervous system automatically runs and regulates all your organ system function, even at the deep cellular level. And what I've discovered is, in having a particular test that we do, this particular test is called heart rate variability. I've had this testing for probably 26 years. It's an EKG based test, so it really demonstrates, it shows heart function, but more importantly, it shows your autonomic nervous system. So pulse rate based heart rate variability is not real. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't really work. Pulse rate based is not accurate. I did a scan the other day using a pulse rate based instrument, and this person's autonomic system was spectacular. We then used the EKG based system, and it was terrible. And terrible autonomic nervous system is what I found in doing thousands of scans on patients over the last 26 years. People with dreadful illness have dreadful autonomic nervous system problems. And that's kind of a big problem. Because if in fact what truly heals your body is your autonomic nervous system, and you're never measuring it, and therefore you're never doing anything about it to improve it, then of course you never really heal. So your autonomic system is critical. And as a matter of fact, another part of the story is I've had heart rate variability testing for a long time, 26 years, but I had this testing for 6 years before I could change the results of this. Pretty dreadful. I was really, really not happy about that. And I saw in a journal article, it said, if 80% of the nervous system is above the spine, what are you doing about that, doctor? So I thought, this could be it. So I took my technology with me to this particular preview and discovered this was the system to truly jumpstart and improve your autonomic nervous system. Phenomenal. And this is called biocranial, phenomenal system. So we've done biocranial for probably 22 years, which has been a game changer for people healing and becoming healthy. So that's number one. Number one, where is your autonomic nervous system? How is it doing? It's what heals you. Nobody else, nothing else. Your autonomic system is in control and regulates everything, including your immune system function. So autonomic nervous system, number one. Number two, mitochondrial dysfunction, or another way to say that is cellular health problems. Problems within your cellular health. And what would cause problems at that level? Well, first and foremost, you know that, or most people know that our food supply is extremely depleted of nutrition, of true nutrients. So imagine putting empty foods into our mouth and your body is really truly starving. And one of the things that happens is you notice, gosh, I'm not as energetic as I used to be. And of course, doctors will blame it on everything. It's blamed on your age as well as genetics. Two things that you can do nothing about: age and genetics. So even so, my hair is gray. I say that that's just wisdom. That's what I go with. But you can be absolutely healthy at age 65, 75, 85 if you're doing the right things. But what if you're eating the most perfect, pristine diet? You're taking the finest nutrients on the planet, vitamins, minerals, herbs, and nothing changes, which is why not only can you get frustrated, but you can lose hope. And when I say, and I emphasize this, getting true healing results, why is that such a big deal? Because people really lose hope. They don't believe it. They think it's just another thing to try. Or maybe they don't want to try it because they've been to all the doctors and nobody seems to make changes. They never get the results that they're after. Their body doesn't heal. Kind of a big deal. Cellular health. At the deepest level in your body, and doctors have said, science has actually said that you have 37 trillion cells in your body. And inside your cells would be mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of your cells. They're the things that generate the energy. So they will take in, and this is sort of the process of mitochondrial function. There's a biochemical reaction that occurs in there called the Krebs cycle, also known as the citric acid cycle. And you can look this up on Google. And at the very top of the funnel is food. And your food ultimately gets converted into something called acetyl-CoA that then feeds into this system. And at each step of this biochemical system, it's nutrients that are the critical factor to really move everything all the way around to ultimately where your mitochondria create energy and turn that into energy that you can feel and experience and realize that, yeah, I can do my day and I can function well and I've got plenty of energy for whatever I want to do. Deep in your mitochondria, deep inside your cells, that's the crux of it all. So what happens though if you're missing those nutrients? And how would you be missing those nutrients? Well, you could be having food that's really depleted of nutrition. You can have toxins that can affect that. You can have massive stress that can affect that. Because stress would affect your ability to digest your food, break it down so that your body can't actually absorb it. Anybody out there doesn't have stress? Most everyone, if they can really admit it, has stress. Even if it's just doing your day. You love your job, but it's a long day. That's stress on your body. And therefore you try to recover and heal at night. Well, guess what? Back to what heals. Of course, it's your autonomic nervous system. So what if you can't get those nutrients in? Then your cellular health begins to drop. So are you the person that you've tried everything? You went to doctors, you've went to functional medicine doctors, you went to alternative doctors. Nothing seems to help. Nothing seems to change. You've spent tons of money, tons of time, tons of effort. You've put your trust into these people and they've disappointed you. This is what I'm talking about. It could be a mitochondrial dysfunction or a cellular health problem. This is a very, very, very big barrier for people to heal. And it's now, I wouldn't say it's mainstream in medicine today, but it's certainly mainstream for those functional medicine doctors and practices out there that are trying to find root causes behind what's going on with people. And this is part of my process. So we're talking about literally 4 to 5 issues. Well, let's just say 3 to 4 issues. 3 to 4 issues that are major barriers to why you can't heal. So mitochondria, we just talked about that. Next would be the people truly are unwilling to change their diet. As you know, your diet is really essential. Stop eating for a week and you might determine that your diet's pretty important. Your food intake. And yet, unfortunately, medical doctors really have no education whatsoever in nutrition. I'm not bashing medical doctors. They do things that are different than we do. But I'm just saying if you try to get a good opinion about food from a medical doctor, it's not going to be a good opinion. Therefore, you need to not only go to someone who's going to address that, because your health issues have been because of lifestyle problems. Every cancer patient that I've seen has a very significant dietary issue. Most everybody has a very significant dietary issue because 1 out of 3 people today, 1 in every 3rd person, is pre-diabetic. And blood sugar problems, whether it be prediabetes or diabetes, causes the number 1 disease that we're experiencing today, which is heart disease. So I don't so much care about diabetes as I do what diabetes is going to lead to, heart attacks and strokes. So you damage and destroy your blood vessels because of spiking insulin. And unfortunately, in healthcare today, in blood work, they measure blood sugar. Better to do a fasting insulin. You can do those other tests too. You can do fasting glucose, hemoglobin A1C, but fasting insulin, because your insulin is the crux of all of that. It literally is connected to all chronic disease. And I did a podcast a couple times ago about that very issue. It's a little bit complex, but it was super good. Insulin is a major issue. But the problem is we can discuss and talk about, and I'm the nice guy also too. I'm not a mean, nasty doctor. I don't yell at you and tell you what to do. Because ultimately, your health is your thing. It's what you do. It's what you do that will make the difference in this. And so I try to help and train people to make better choices and decisions. But when it comes to diet, people really don't change their diet. Why? Because there's always a reason to celebrate in America. You can have Thanksgiving, which we just had. You can have Christmas. There's birthdays. There's always a reason to put bad junk in your mouth that causes big problems, causes inflammation. And inflammation, we talked about that. We're going to talk about it again very soon. Inflammation is the center of all illness. It's foundational to all illness. And so we have to look at what causes inflammation. One of those things can be your diet. So are you truly willing to change your diet? Truly? My absolute best patients, let me tell you who they are. I'm not sure if you can guess that, but my absolutely best patients, most compliant patients, are cancer patients. And that's really sad because their back is against the wall. They're at death's door. Guess what? They will do anything to get out of that. So I love the compliance there, but it's so sad to me that you have to get to that stage to really make all the changes necessary. And typically all the changes necessary are it's a lot more to do to fix problems. So now let's talk about testing for these types of problems. Testing for autonomic nervous system truly would be heart rate variability. It's a EKG based test, so it's not invasive and it's recording from your heart, and we're looking into your autonomic nervous system that actually controls heart function. Really foundational, important to really look at your autonomic system to see where it's at, because that's what heals your body. Then we like to look at cellular health issues. We have a couple of tests that we do. One of them is called an organic acids urine test. Organic acids urine test. And what it measures is, we were talking about that Krebs cycle earlier, that biochemistry that goes on deep inside your mitochondria, inside your cells, and at each stage you have these intermediate substances, we'll call them, that are they're required nutrients to move on to the next substance to ultimately get around to where you create energy. And what happens if you don't have the nutrients necessary to push to the next level, all of a sudden what will happen is you'll get higher levels dumped into your urine of that intermediate substance that's measured through that organic acids urine test. That's how we can determine exactly which nutrients are necessary and missing to change that. But also, does it change? We can measure before and after, which is really awesome too. There's also another piece of the puzzle that we like to talk about when we get to solutions, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes as well. But organic acids urine test is an awesome, great test, and it's a urine test, not a big deal. A Menla Scan Pro, we've done this. I've used this particular scanning technology. It's a full body scanning technology that's not invasive. There's no radiation going into you, and it's measuring It's similar to a bioimpedance testing, like an EKG for your heart. Similar to that, but what it's measuring, it's running a little bit of microvoltage throughout, crisscrossing through a bunch of electrodes that's attached to your body, from your head, showing brain function, to your bare hands, to your bare feet. We got a pulse oximeter on your finger, and all of these measuring tools to really check and see how organ systems are functioning. There's a really great look at everything, and I've measured this directly against blood work, and it tests, they just dovetail really, really well. Really, really well. That actually will demonstrate also cellular health, mitochondrial function. It'll actually measure that for us too. Wonderful test. Then it comes down to the diet. Now the diet, we use various different diets based on a person's needs. It's not a one-stop, everybody gets the same thing. There might be some similarities because most everyone, 1 out of every 3rd person is pre-diabetic. So we all do too much starch and sugar in our diets. So let's talk about diets for a moment. We're going to talk about autoimmune paleo. That's kind of really good diet for people who have autoimmune disease. Why? Because it removes all the the immune triggering foods from your diet. A lot of people don't like this because we like what we like. We typically eat for what things taste like. And when we're hungry, well, guess what promotes hunger the most is starch and sugar in our diet. Hence one of the reasons why we want to get away from starch and sugar. It's also very destructive. So autoimmune paleo, great diet. Just it seems to be very, very restrictive. But let's keep moving. The ketogenic diet, I love the ketogenic diet because it helps people that have any brain issues going on. Maybe they have Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. Also, it can be multiple sclerosis, because nerves require fat to help your body. Also, ketogenic's great for people that have hormonal issues because one of the main ingredients to make your hormones is fat, good essential fats. Completely avoiding things like canola oil, vegetable oils, and seed oils. Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. That actually can cause heart disease and damage cardiovascular tissue. So we want to completely throw out seed oils. Ketogenic diet's great. It's eating lots of good essential fats, adequate protein, and we also recommend some really good cruciferous vegetables there. Most important, what I've actually moved closer towards is a carnivore diet. Carnivore diet. Carnivore diet is literally eating only animal proteins and animal fats. Incredible. Incredible the results with the carnivore diet. Even before and after blood work results with carnivore. It's amazing. Very, very anti-inflammatory. Matter of fact, carnivore is probably a sub-part of keto. It's just even more anti-inflammatory. Keto is also anti-inflammatory. But you can get all the same nutrients in the carnivore diet and from animal protein and animal fat that you can get in a plant-based diet. The problem with vegetables and fruits is the sugar, but also plants and vegetables are designed with toxins. Notice I said the word designed. Somebody made those. Plants and things like that we eat. And what that's designed to do is to protect the plant from being eaten by pests and or from us. So some of those chemicals actually will start to irritate and create inflammation in our gut. Which is why people will say commonly, gosh, when I eat broccoli, oh my gosh, I have so much gas and bloating and problems. Well, guess why? So this is why the carnivore diet is so spectacular, because it takes that away. Number 2, one of the great aspects of carnivore diet is to digest and absorb protein. You need good stomach acid. So your body, if you're only putting in animal protein, your body will then start to create more hydrochloric acid so that your stomach is rock solid to digest protein, and your first line of defense against bugs or infections in your stomach as well as your small and large intestine is hydrochloric acid. That's your first line of defense. So guess what? You're less likely to get infections there in those places. Another great thing about carnivore is that people have shown that it literally shuts down autoimmune issues. many, many autoimmune issues with the carnivore diet. Wonderful thing. Also, mental clarity, mental focus and concentration, and mood gets elevated because you're taking such a massive, major stress off your gut where you make most of your neurotransmitters, your brain chemicals. Wonderful, wonderful thing, carnivore diet. Now, plant-based diet, let's talk about that for a moment. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan because there are missing nutrients in the plant-based diet that you can't get other than animal products, animal fat, animal protein. And as I said before, plants basically have protective chemicals in them, toxins that irritate us and cause problems for us. Plus, most of us love starch and sugar, so we tend to go towards those types of vegetables and, say, fruits. People say, well, fruit is great because it has all that nutrition in it. And the real reason that people eat fruit is because of the sugar. And to your body, biochemically, sugar is sugar is sugar. It doesn't matter if it's white table sugar or it's fruit sugar, fructose. Fructose actually is more problematic than sucrose for your body. Even so, eating those things tends to push you more towards blood sugar problems and insulin problems and all the rest that creates chronic illness. Not a big fan. Now, yes, plants have good nutrition in them, but what if you can get the same nutrition from a carnivore diet that actually shuts everything down and doesn't cause any problems? Takes a little bit of getting used to, but I never tell people to completely make that shift tomorrow. It's like something you got to do progressively over time. Another great aspect of diet is doing it little by little, but also doing some intermittent fasting. Lots of science on the intermittent fasting, and same thing, you can take that one step at a time, starting off with maybe skipping breakfast, having a coffee at breakfast. Sometimes you can put heavy cream in there. You want lots of good essential fats. Heavy cream and coffee, and then the ideal is the 18-6, where you're basically, you only eat during the window of, say, let's just say anywhere from between 12 to 6, and then from 6 o'clock on till the next day and 12 noon the next day, you're not eating food. Very magical things happen there if you do that. So let's now talk about nutrients, taking vitamins and minerals and herbs. From vitamin and mineral perspective, today it's a multi-billion-dollar business. But the problem, and here's the truth of it, we really need targeted nutrients. And I like to use the word nutrients as opposed to vitamins. Why? Because the vitamin industry has caught on and marketed the synthetic fractionated dead vitamins to you. And you see this label with all of this nutrition in it, all these B vitamins, for instance, we'll take B vitamins. And to get those individual B vitamins at really high concentrations, at perfect measured amounts, they have to use a chemicalized process to extract it from its food source, concentrate that, and then give that to you and put it into this vitamin. The problem is your body doesn't recognize individual B vitamins. It recognizes food. And so it's not truly the quantity of nutrients that you put in, let's just say vitamins in this case, it's the quality that comes from food. So you want whole food-based nutrients. Preferably, why? Because your body recognizes it and it will use it. It's sort of like a puzzle piece. You're putting a puzzle together, doesn't matter what kind of piece you fit into that spot right there, it's not going to fit. You need the right piece. So that's the critical key when it comes to vitamins. You want whole food nutrients that your body will recognize and use, as opposed to, classic example, ascorbic acid, supposed to be vitamin C, versus the whole food vitamin C complex. And hands down, it wins every time. You could take, 500 milligrams of ascorbic acid compared to, say, 53 milligrams from a whole food source of vitamin C, like, say, eating an orange, far better for you. Does way more for you than, say, ascorbic acid, because ascorbic acid is the eggshell covering over the whole food vitamin C complex. There's way more in vitamin C than just ascorbic acid. That's just one example. Plus, our food has been pushed. The soils have been pushed so much so that they're very deplete of nutrients. Why? Why do they do this? Is because people that grow and manufacture our food, they're not into it to make us healthy. They're into it to make money. So they will cut corners. They'll use pesticides and herbicides and bad things, fungicides, push the soil so it's so deplete and you do not have the nutrient content. But they can give you fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, to make things grow really large, and yet there's hardly any nutrients that are in those fruits and vegetables. Kind of a problem for us, which is why we definitely do need to supplement. So for instance, when we determine that somebody has issues going on, targeted organ system problems, we will want to give them whole food targeted nutrients to help provide the tools to repair that organ system and the fuel to get it to function normally. And they would do it for a period of time, and they would not have to stay on those things, because guess what? They'll get healing and results that they're after. Things will change like they should. So then why do we get the results that we do in our practice? It's because of following the above mentioned steps that we just talked about. And what are those steps? Those steps are autonomic nervous system, measuring it and improving it. Step number 2, cellular health issues, major barrier to healing. If you're not improving, nothing's changing, then we need to look at this. But we do look at this and we get the changes necessary, so all of a sudden your body actually will take in that nutrition. Of course, we want to support digestion so you can actually digest and absorb those nutrients, but providing the targeted nutrients necessary from a whole food source to get those kinds of results. And of course, lastly, truly change your diet, because we can tell from the testing that we do before and after. We do some work and we can measure, remeasure, and see if things are changing. And classically, we can see, I have a patient coming in this afternoon that I have to tell him, I say, you know what, you have to change your diet this time. You really need to do this. You know, dissecting aortic aneurysm is kind of a big problem. Sometimes, more rarely, survivable. But if you don't stop the root cause behind what caused it in the first place, starch and sugar, then the problem continues and you don't change and improve. And I gotta be honest, I have to have integrity with that. Something that I didn't mention to improve cellular health issues is not only targeted nutrients for the missing nutrients that we find in the Krebs cycle, but something else that I neglected to mention that's important is we have a thing that's called cell exercise, also known as high voltage pulsed electromagnetic fields. High voltage, not low voltage, because you can do those and it might improve blood flow. That's actually what, from the FDA, that's what they know it to do. It improves blood flow, but it doesn't really change your mitochondrial dysfunction. High voltage pulsed electromagnetic fields, game changer. Massive changes for people. I mean massive changes. Complete, major changes to improve cellular health and promote your body to heal. Don't want to forget that. I call it cell exercise because it's exactly what it does. Now, does it cure, treat, and heal you? No. The only thing that cures, treats, and heals you is you. Just remember that. So if you truly want to heal and overcome what's going on in your body, please contact me. I'd love to help you out. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. You can email me at draugustine@gmail.com, or you can reach out to my office at 562-860-3404. I'm on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please give me a follow there. That'd be great. I'm also on podcasting. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, there's other podcasts, Google Podcasts. And so please subscribe to me and listen to me there. And again, my name is Dr. Augustine from Head to Wellness. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on your journey to wellness. Join us next time for more information and education about your health. And feel free to contact Dr. Jim on social media or at his office, Head to Wellness in Buena Park, California.